All right, now what happens if you want to write to a file in Python? We've kind of gone through all the other pieces. Let's take a look at what we want to do when we open a file and then put something in it as opposed to take something out of it. First thing I would suggest that you do is give it a name. So in other words, just like up here we had a nickname of our file, we want to do the same thing down here, like maybe call it write file. And say that it's equal to output, and remember we're going to want to put it in quotes. So I'm going to put output.text. Once we're there, then we can kind of use that same format, and I am going to say with open, but I am going to put the new word, write file, comma, and then W, because we're going to write to it. So it's going to diverge. Remember, we put this absolute path up here, but we now put this little comma and W after it to say we're going to write to it as opposed to open it. And then we're going to say as, and this. So I said that this is a nickname for this guy, but believe it or not, we're going to take the give it another nickname. I know it sounds a little crazy, but let's go ahead and do that, and we will put in you call it output. Yeah, I think that's safe. Go ahead and put the colon in there. Now, you know, you could take that output.text and drop it right in there as well, but I'm just trying something different. So so let's put this yet. Actually, what I wanted to do is right before we do this, what I'd like to do is see what we print out. Maybe we can have some fun with it. So it says, hi, I am your for file. My name is input. Well, why don't we look at this guy and think about maybe how we can change it. So like in here it says my name is input. I could put input 4 or something like input your name or something like that. Yeah, let's try that. It's going to grab that period, which is a little bit problematic, but we can, I mean, technically we could remove that as well if we wanted to, but let's just play with that. So if we look, we say 1, or excuse me, 0, 1, 2, 3. So we need to know, remember 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 3, 7, 8, 9. So 3, 7, 9. Just remember that. And I'm going to unhash this or unpound that or unsharp that, and we're going to write in the output output that write and put what do we say is input, which was 9, so I'm going to just be lazy and grab this, put it in there, change that to a 9, use the plus for concatenation, put a couple of spaces in there, plus input, and then your was 3. I'll probably do this wrong. And again, I'm going to copy this and be lazy, because if you look at that, we're just going to add the 3 there. Oops, sorry, that should be 3, and I believe that should be 7. So hopefully this will say input your name at the end of it. Now let's go ahead and push play, and it did run, so that's good. But now we have to find that file, right? Well, using that old piece, we just created an output.txt. We used neither a relative or, well, I guess technically it's a relative path, but we definitely didn't use an absolute path. So where would it put it? Well, guess what? It puts it right with the file.py because we did not have any slashes there. And if I were to double click on output.txt, as it says, input your name. So it took those individual pieces of our file list and reconstructed to make a new saying. So that, at least that works. That's kind of cool. And let's see here. What was I going to say to this? Okay, so that works. That is one nice way of doing it. But what happens if we wanted to add to that file that already exists, right? So in other words, if I rerun this and I add a couple extra spaces here, so our old file name is just input your name, but if I rerun it and check that output, we just get that extra spaces. So it starts essentially a whole new file. But what happens if we want to add to the original file? Well, I could take that back to a space and change the word from W to A here. W for write, A for append, meaning that we're just going to add to the file. And when we rerun it again and we look into that file, we see input your name with the missing space. But what do we notice? It wrote it right after that. So how could we fix that? Well, we could do this. We could put an N plus that and run it, and it didn't like that because the N is actually it works. Should have put it in quotes. Now if we play it, it should run, and we append it again, so we got the original mistake right here, but we did return to the next line for that third line that we appended. Okay, so there's a host of ways you can play, the host of ways you can write to it. We will definitely use this more in the future, but the next video I will probably do is actually writing to a specific file that is used specifically for the gathering of information and retaining of information for future files. So we'll see you then.